Hi, welcome back to Sun on Sports. I'm Mike Shaughnessy. I'm joined this week from my left, Greg Clevin, John Sherman, and Nick Clark. And behind the camera is our trustworthy camera operator slash producer slash director, Greg Huff, who's especially bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this evening. Our first segment is going to be about some of the outstanding athletes and performances we saw during the spring, particularly during the state tournament season that just concluded.
We'll kind of concentrate on that track meet for a minute there. Just some outstanding performances. Sophomore from Armstrong, Risha Floyd, won the 100 in her second appearance at the state track meet, but the first where she actually headed in thinking she was a contender. A junior from Cooper High School, Kalina Coleman, won the 100 meter hurdles. In her first state track meet experience, it was a meet that she had been hurt most of the year, running on with a bad foot. Got healthy early May, started to get up to speed. It was a real surprise winner to some at that Section 6 AA meet, which was held on her home track. I don't know if there's an advantage there or not, but she went out and proved at Hamline University the following week that it was legit, and she won that race. And then the Wayzata boys, the distance runners, two in particular, seniors Danny Ducharme and Jeremy Drinkhand, capped what were just, unbelievable prep running careers. You have to remember these are guys that led Wayzata to back-to-back state cross-country titles in the fall. This spring, they were a big reason why the boys ended up placing second in the track meet. Jeremy was kind of a surprise winner in the 3200 in that he beat Danny. Danny had beat him most of the year in that race. Danny won the section race over Jeremy by a good 5-6 seconds to get in. They were 1-2 in section. Jeremy ended up winning that race. I talked to him Saturday, the day after the race, and he was pretty excited about it still. You could tell he was drained, and this was before they ran the 1600. Danny Ducharme, I should say, ended up finishing third in the 3200. The next day in the 1600, Danny finished third again, and then Jeremy drifted back to like seventh. He was gassed, but he admitted it. He said with about 300 meters to go in the 1600, he had nothing left, and you could tell he was getting past. But it didn't matter at the time. They were putting just a great finish on what was an outstanding career. They're both Division I runners. Jeremy actually leaves next week to go to the Air Force Academy to begin his training, but he's going to run for the cadets. And Danny's going to Iowa State University in the Big 12. And I asked Danny after the meet if there's any chance they would meet up along the year. And there's talks right now going on to get Air Force to come up and run the GRIAC. So maybe next fall they'll both get a chance to run against each other again. It might be pretty neat. But
bring them on up.
Right. It'd be neat to see. Heck of a career by these two kids.
The state track meet, you and I went there. Less than ideal conditions. I just wanted to note that had an individual from Burnsville, Antoinette Goodman, who medaled in 4 events in the finals, including a victory in the long jump, her first place medal of her career, and she did that. She did all that with a bad quad, which is held her out of some regular season meets, but she was able to keep it together well enough to close her career with the state championship.
And she did it in not the best condition.
The long jump was Friday.
Yeah.
Her other 3 events, she had to run in the lousy weather.
Right. And biggest mistake I made that day was not bringing an umbrella. It was an interesting day to be there. It was an interesting meet to cover. But it was fun to watch some of these races, and despite the elements, some of these kids really performed. The one race that sticks out to me, you look back to the boys 800, and I don't even know his name off the top of my head. A kid from Fridley held Buffalo's Zach Mellon on his back shoulder for the last 600 meters of that race, and Mellon had entered the race with the second or third fastest 800 time in the nation this year. It was fun, fun to watch that race, and a couple other things stuck out, but the weather's the one thing I guess most people remember from that.
Next time, bring your raincoat, bring your umbrella.
Send John Sherman to cover it.
Boys 3200 was pretty compelling too, because the Wayzata runner overtook Chris Massey of Rosemont in the last 100 yards or so to win that.
Yeah, Jeremy's kick, from what they were telling me, was something special that day.
Well, guys, thanks a lot. We'll be back with another segment of Sun on Sports in just a minute.